This is Bill Kinworthy. Today we're going to test out the Himalayan Salt Block. Welcome to Bill Kinworthy. I'm Dennis, and today we're going to test out the Himalayan Salt Block that my buddy Heath lent me. His YouTube handle is Shepherd's Forge, so if you get a chance to go check him out. He does some knife work and stuff like that I really admire, and I'm hoping to get some custom work from him here pretty soon. But he's been kind enough to lend me the salt block to try out. He hasn't even tried it yet, so I'm pretty excited about it. We've got a lot going on here today, so I'm going to be making some homemade pasta. I'll show you that, and then we're going to cook some chicken breast on top of the salt block to test it out. These chicken breasts come from our own chickens. We butchered these in the summer, and then I packaged them and froze them. As you'll notice, they're a little bit thinner than what you normally get. That's because we have dual-purpose birds, our Rhode Island Red mix, and they're not injected with hormones and not a crazy crossbreed, so they do have a little bit smaller chicken breast, and that works out great for us. It's a little bit smaller cut of meat, but we really enjoy it, and we usually have it fresh, and it helps supply meat year-round with our Rhode Island Reds. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get our pasta going. I like to make that first, plus I have a pregnant wife who's hungry, and she doesn't want to wait for everything, so she asks for pasta ahead of time. We're going to be using some of our homemade pasta sauce that we made from our tomatoes from the garden last year. So we'll be showing you how to do that stuff this summer as we go through. Here pretty soon we'll be starting with the garden, so we'll show you our plan, and then we'll go through that together. But so this is our homemade stuff. This is what we're going to use today to make it quick and easy. I do have some semolina flour, and then I have some Miller's flour here. Dakota Miller's flour is what this is called. I get it from an Amish store that's not too far away. I really like it. We're going to be using the Phillips pasta machine. I did a review on this not too long ago, so if you want to see how that works, go check out that review. Maybe I'll put a link down below. And then we have some of our homemade meatballs. I've got the sous vide going right here, and it's set to 170 degrees. If you'll remember these from the pantry tour video, I packaged these up and freeze them just this way, and then I just drop them in the sous vide and I get them cooking that way. It takes about an hour to cook them. So this is already going while I'm getting everything else going. I already have a pot of water heating up on the stove just so I can be ready as soon as the pasta's done, we'll cook it. And then I have the salt block heating up as well. You have to heat that up in stages. So every 15 minutes I crank it up just a little bit until we get to a good cooking temperature that'll go for the chicken. All right, so I've got this turned on, and now what I need to do is add the flour. I like to do a mix of both the semolina and the regular flour. I'm going to take and put half and half. I'm going to do a full batch, which is going to do 2 cups of flour. So I'll do a cup of the semolina and then a cup of the regular Miller's flour. And you can use all-purpose or whatever you have around the house. You don't even have to use semolina, but I just like it. It's a little heavier durum wheat. And I'm lucky because this machine will measure this for me. All right, that's exactly 2 cups. Now I can put the flour away so that it's out of my way. Put the lid back on. When you put the lid back on, the measurement will go back to normal. And then I'm going to hit the liquid button to see how much water I have to have in. All right, it's asking for 180 milliliters of water. All right, I have my 180 milliliters of water. I'm going to hit the play button. And it's going to give a 3-minute countdown. The auger is going to start turning. And then I'll start slowly adding the water. We'll just let that go through its cycle, and I'll be right back with you once the pasta starts coming out. All right, we picked a penny pasta for this meal. That's what my wife wanted, so that's what I'm making. It's just stopped its cycle, and now we're about to start seeing pasta come out. Whenever I have the very first part of it come out, I usually take and trim that off because it doesn't look the greatest. And then I discard that, and then I start cutting the rest. I just cut these to the length I want. Get a little plate down here for them to fall on. We'll do a variety of sizes. And here's all of our wonderful penny pasta. So here's a project I have going on over here. I have my sauce heating up. I have the water almost to a boiling stage, and I'm still heating up the salt block. So I just keep adjusting that a little bit at a time so that I don't damage the block. And then we're going to get the pasta going in the water. I need to shred some cheese. I usually buy that in block form and then I shred it myself because it's cheaper than just purchasing shredded. And I feel like it's better quality because it doesn't have any of those preservatives in it. My water's come to a boil. It's time to put in the penne pasta. I did kick on my fan so that all of the exhaust goes right to the outside. It helps wick away some of this moisture. This pasta is only going to take a few minutes to cook, maybe 3 to 5 minutes, just depending on the thickness. The sauce is still getting heated up nicely. We're almost there. Check the, oh yeah, the salt block is getting really hot. So this is my first time using this, so I'll still be experimenting a little bit. I'm going to just dial up the heat a little bit more on the block. While the pasta's cooking, I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to season the chicken breast. I'm going to take and use a little bit of the garlic infused olive oil that I get from the oilery in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin. And then I'm just going to use some freshly ground black pepper. I'm wanting to see if the salt from the salt block infuses with this at all, so I'm not going to use any salt on it. Well, I'm running out of this garlic oil. Looks like it might be time to head back to the oilery and get a refill. Our pasta is done. We're just going to take it off, and I have a strainer that's put right into the pot. So I'll strain that, and then I'll dump it into this bowl that I have. And then we'll mix in the cheese and the sauce. This is the way I usually like to do it, and then it stays warm in there and it doesn't continue to overcook. One thing I will mention that I forgot about is that I do salt the water. The term is salty like the sea. Just dump this right in. I'll take and add a little bit of the sauce. And mix that up. And now I'm going to start adding my cheese. I like to add my cheese in stages so that it doesn't clump together. Spread that around a little bit. I'll mix that up again. And then I'll add the rest of the sauce. Now I'm going to add my meatballs from the bag. I like to do them in this bag because it holds some of the juice and that actually helps flavor the pasta. And then what I'll do is I'll place this in a warm oven and then I'll let those hold just like that until the rest of dinner's ready, and then I serve it all together and it's still hot. Now we're on to the next stage of the project. There's a lot of heat emitting from the salt stone. I'm very curious still to see how that's going to go. I've got my chicken breast ready to go, and I've got a non-stick pan heating up. I'm going to drop some butter in. We're going to saute some asparagus in this. It's a little over a tablespoon of butter here. Well, let's see what happens. We got a little bit of a sizzle there. Well, maybe we're safe to go a couple more here. Let's see what happens. The butter's melting down, so we're going to drop the asparagus in. It sounds like the chicken's cooking pretty well. I can hear a nice sizzle, so I'm very excited to see how it turns out. Do a little bit of pepper. Just a little bit of garlic salt on these. So they started sticking just a touch, and I added a little bit more olive oil over the top just to see if they'd free up. And we're going to try flipping them right now. It's got a little bit of browning, not a ton. Oh, that one's doing a little bit better. So it might be the heat displacement. So the heat is obviously more concentrated right here in the middle, and it looks like the outside ones, maybe I'll have to move those in. So I still have 4 more chicken breasts to go. We'll finish cooking these up. I'll show you what they look like, and then I'll continue cooking the other ones. Now I've really got the heat cranking on these now. I think these right here are ready to come off, so I'm going to pull these off and we'll taste it, and we'll see if what kind of taste it has, if the salt has had any type of effect, and then I'll get some more going. Well, I've made myself a nice little meal here. I'm going to check out this chicken and we'll see how it turned out. Well, that's pretty good. It isn't overly salty. I do get a little bit of the salt on the outside edges of it, but it's not overly salted. Oddly enough, I think that you could probably add a little bit of salt to this when cooking on the salt block. Just a touch though. I think everything turned out pretty well. I'm not quite sure how I feel about the salt block yet. I might have to experiment a little bit more, but I think they cooked this up pretty well. It does take a lot longer to cook if you're going to use this method. I think I would probably prefer to cook in more conventional methods using a grill or a really hot cast iron skillet. It would make things move a little bit faster. But this is definitely worth the experiment. I'm glad I checked it out, and I'm glad I tried it. If you like this video, please make sure you subscribe and hit the like button. Please share it with your friends. I've recently gotten over 500 subscribers, and once I get to 1,000, I'm thinking of doing a little giveaway, maybe a prize giveaway to all of my subscribers, and we'll figure out how we're going to work that out coming up in the near future. Let me know what you think. Give me some more ideas. If you've ever used the salt block, let me know what your thoughts are. I'm looking to get more comments so that I have some things to reply to and maybe some more ideas coming in. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.